What has VW been up to? Essentially, the car company was cheating on the very strict emissions tests by getting cars to give false readings.
In 2015, one of the biggest car makers in the world got caught cheating. Not on a test, on 11 million tests. For 7 straight years, Volkswagen sold cars they called clean diesel. There was nothing clean about them. This is the story of Dieselgate, the scandal that cost Volkswagen $33 billion, sent executives to prison, and shook the entire auto industry to its core. It all started with a lie that seemed too good to be true, because it was. Rewind to the early 2000s. Volkswagen had a problem, a big one. Americans hated diesel cars. In Europe, diesel was king. Half of all new cars ran on it. But in America, diesel meant smelly trucks, black smoke, loud engines, the stuff your uncle drove. Volkswagen wanted to change that. Their plan was bold. They built a diesel engine so clean, so efficient, so quiet, it would convert America. They called it TDI, turbocharged direct injection. The marketing was everywhere. Diesel was the future. Better mileage, lower emissions, same performance as gas. Sales exploded. Between 2009 and 2015, Volkswagen moved nearly 600,000 of these cars into the US alone. Worldwide, 11 million. There was just one small problem. The cars weren't clean, not even close. Here's how it actually worked. To meet US emission standards, every diesel engine has to control something called NOx. Nitrogen oxide emits poisonous gases, so the EPA sets strict limits. Volkswagen engineers faced an impossible task. Build a diesel engine that's powerful, fuel efficient, and passes American emissions tests, for a price people will actually pay. They couldn't do it, so they cheated. How? They wrote a software. Software with one job: detect when the car was being tested. The code watched everything: the steering wheel, the speed, the engine load, even the wheels. Due to this, the software knew. This is a lab. This is a test. In test mode, the car flipped on its full emissions controls. It ran clean, pristine. On the road, the software switched everything off. Performance went up, fuel economy went up, emissions up to 40 times the legal limit. Drivers had no idea. They thought they were saving the planet. Not at all. It was only more poison. For 7 years, the lie held. Volkswagen kept selling, engineers kept coding, executives kept smiling. Then a tiny team of researchers at West Virginia University changed everything. They'd been hired by a nonprofit called the International Council of Clean Transportation. Budget, around $50,000. Their goal was simple: prove how clean European diesels really were. They ran in 2 Volkswagens and a BMW, hooked them up to portable emissions equipment, and they drove from San Diego to Seattle. The BMW passed. Both Volkswagens failed catastrophically. One was emitting 35 times the legal limit, the other 20. The researchers were stunned. They tested again, same result. They sent their findings to the EPA in May of 2014. Then Volkswagen did what guilty companies always do. They lied some more. For more than a year, Volkswagen blamed everything else. Faulty equipment, bad fuel, driving conditions. They issued a voluntary recall, claiming a small software update would fix it. It didn't, because there was nothing to fix. The software was working exactly as designed. The EPA got suspicious. They threatened to refuse certification of all 2016 Volkswagen diesel models. No certification, no sales, period. That was the moment Volkswagen had no choice. In September 2015, they confessed. The fallout was instant and brutal. Volkswagen stock dropped 30% in 2 days. $45 billion in market value gone. CEO Martin Whittencourt resigned within a week. He claimed he knew nothing. Nobody believed him. Lawsuits poured in from every direction. Customers, dealers, governments, shareholders. The numbers got bigger and bigger. In 2016, Volkswagen agreed to pay $14.7 billion in the US alone. They had to buy back nearly 500,000 cars from American customers. They only had 2 options: crush them or fix them. Mostly crush. Then came the criminal charges. In 2017, Volkswagen pleaded guilty to 3 federal felonies: conspiracy, obstruction of justice, importing goods by false statements, another $4.3 billion fine. But it wasn't just the company that paid. Oliver Schmidt was Volkswagen's emissions compliance manager in America. He flew to Miami for a vacation in 2017. The FBI was waiting at the airport. He got sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. James Lang, an engineer who helped design the defeat device, got 40 months. Martin Winterkorn, the former CEO, indicted in the US in 2018. He's never stepped foot in the country since. In 2024, his trial finally began in Germany. By the time the dust settled, the total bill had crossed $33 billion. It is, to this day, the most expensive corporate scandal in automotive history. So what's the lesson here? Dieselgate wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a rounding error. It wasn't an accident. It was a calculated decision made by educated, well-paid, well-respected people to deceive the public, harm the planet, and enrich themselves. For years, it worked. It only ended because 3 researchers in West Virginia decided to actually test the cars in the real world. Imagine if clean diesels were still on the road today. The scandal that cost $33 billion and reshaped the global auto industry was uncovered by curiosity, by people who refused to take a corporation's word for it. Today, Volkswagen is still trying to rebuild their trust in the public eye. Maybe they changed, maybe they haven't, but this much is clear. When you're driving a car, you trust the people who built it, you trust their numbers, you trust their promises. Volkswagen broke that trust 11 million times.
5 million Volkswagen cars, 2.1 million Audis, 1.8 million Volkswagen trucks, 1.2 million of the Czech Republic brand Skoda, and 700,000 Spanish Seats.